So hi everyone. I like how Florian sounds. Also, it's the first time was called a lawyer. I like how that sounds as well. I'm a consultant. I'd like to start by saying, finally, the last panel of these 2 days, a very interesting one. I'm happy, and I think I'm also privileged to moderate this panel for two reasons. First, I have such distinguished guests, people that I admire, people that I like being around. I like very much being around, including in the room. The second reason I'll share a bit later. And hopefully we have also some slides. As a consultant, I have some slides first. So before I hand over to my colleagues, I'd like to spend just a couple of minutes to show you a couple of figures, a couple of numbers, and to anchor the conversation and the risks and the opportunities in digital transformation and in reinventing banking in a couple of numbers. We did recently, a month ago, a study. We tried to understand what are banks' shares of wallet. Share of wallet meaning if I have customers, how many of their products, of their total banking products, are with me. So a measure of loyalty, a measure of how much I capture from my customer's wallet. And we did this study in an online survey, 2,000 respondents, quite representative for some parts of the population, a bit more digital, a bit more educated, of course. And I want to share with you a couple of insights and then anchor some of the questions and conversation around that. A couple of numbers being in the following way, just to remember. Is it working? Ah, yes. So what we looked at is Romanians, who works with what bank, how many banks Romanians work with, why do they switch, why would they consolidate, reasons for satisfaction, for dissatisfaction. On average, this is a bit the situation. So roughly a third of Romanians work with a bank, but also equally alike, a third of Romanians work with two banks, and about another third work with 3 or more banks. So on average, the typical Romanian works with about 2 banks, and it has about 2 products in each of those 2 banks. What's interesting to look at is share of wallet, as I was saying. And I personally believe, and if you look at very, let's say, successful banks, you should target a share of wallet of at least 70%. That means 70% of the products my customers have would be with my bank. And the interesting thing is to look at the situation in Romania and to look at what banks do here. And there's about 3 archetypes of banks. You have first the large banks, like the ones mentioned there, which have about a share of wallet of about 33 to 50%. So they capture quite a lot of their customers' products, but not 70%, not 100% definitely. Then you have some other banks, large or larger, which have about a third share of wallet, so a bit lower. And then you have the smaller banks, which typically have about 25% or even lower in some cases. And there is a lot of sharing of customers between banks, between traditional and digital banks. We all expect that because we all use 2 or 3 or even more banks from time to time. And there's a couple of risks, but also opportunities, where you can use digital and you can use a lot of technology and analytics to capture more share of wallet. What is at risk is about 1 in 4 customers is looking to drop, to close the relationship with at least one of the banks they work with. And regardless of whether they look for closing or not a relationship, here comes a risk, but also an opportunity. About half of customers are willing to open a new banking relationship for the right reasons. And the biggest opportunity, I think, is how many customers would be willing to consolidate all their products and services to one bank? And of course, it depends for which reasons, for the right reasons. And that's about 80%. So there's a lot of willingness, even though Romanians work with more banks, there's a lot of willingness for the right reasons to consolidate everything with one bank. And actually the percentage is bigger in case of traditional large banks, lower in case of smaller banks or digital-only banks, which is kind of expected. So this comes now to the following, let's say, big opportunity for traditional banks, reinventing banks. But I want to spend a bit of time before I hand it over to my colleagues to say that the second reason why I feel privileged to have this conversation is I think it's more than just reinventing banking, traditional banking, and I think it's more than talking only about technology and digital transformation and analytics and data. I think today, I'm gonna move here, it is about reinventing, so continuously reinventing, but it's equally, in case of traditional banking, is rediscovering and remembering why banks exist and what are the qualities that enable banks to exist and thrive, but also to think about people and the planet. So not just technology and digital transformation to make more money and profit, but also to create a better world that works for everyone, people and planet. And having said that, I would like this conversation today to focus, next to digital transformation and reinventing banking, also what's happening with people and what's happening with the planet and sustainability. So, without further ado, I'll open up the questions. I will start with Wana. Wana, how is Banca Transilvania So, how is Banca Transilvania embracing digital transformation, bringing new solutions both for clients, but also what's the impact in terms of people and talent and skills and the internal organization development?
First of all, I'm very happy to be here because not only that it is challenging to discuss about it, but I also met some people that I really care about. So it's a closed environment in the banking system. Now going back to the question, I think that we have been talking about digital transformation. I think now for almost 10 years, and we are still talking about it, and it's a very good thing, and competition is great because it has changed the agility that we are delivering things with. It is, yes, a bigger challenge for a former traditional bank with a legacy system to have onboarded on this digital transformation, because I was discussing with Eleni earlier, and somehow I feel that she shares this with me, that it's like you have the airplane in the air and you are over the Atlantic, and you have to change something on the go because you are on the go, and you have to adapt and to change on the go. And it's totally different as compared to building the best plane and then taking off. But I do think, and I'm very optimistic about this, that a lot has been done with all the banks in the Romanian system, and not just. I remember, for example, 2018, when the first digital wallet was launched, and we were part of that journey, and it was very rewarding for us. And it was a bank, it was Banca Transilvania back then in January 2018, who brought mobile payments on the Romanian market, being the third in Europe, the third institution. So not the third bank, the third institution to offer this. So I think that there are good talents which have been developed, especially in the payment teams in the banks, who have learned to adapt and readapt and learn continuously, and we are building on this talent. Now, the digital transformation journey of course, it's a complex one, especially with a big bank, who has at least 3 layers to concentrate on, namely the application facing the customers, which has been our focus, our top priority in the process of digital transformation, and it is natural to be that way. The contact center is another very important layer, and we have done significant developments also on the contact center, together with some Fintechs that we collaborated with, and we are still collaborating, and we implemented several digital use cases, being pretty stubborn not to increase so much the headcount in terms of human resources, but rather to concentrate to capture the interaction with the customers in a more digital way. And now I can say proudly that over 57%, so going towards 60% of the monthly interactions are with self-service in the contact center done by the customers themselves. And the other focus, very, very important, is the branches. In the branches, I think that we are having the biggest challenge, because we have many applications, and the challenge is to get that convergence in order for our colleagues to benefit as well, not just the customer, but our colleagues to benefit as well from a better digital experience, to increase the motivation, to increase the job satisfaction, and to improve ultimately the customer experience in the branches. So, of course, that you cannot do this, from my perspective, without changing the skills of the people that are involved in the project. And I am a continuous learner. I learn a lot, and I learned last year from a very, very good professor at Harvard that we do expire. We do expire, and I'm always telling this story. And unless we learn and relearn, we cannot prolong our expiration date.
That's a cool thing too, and I will remember that. Gabi, how do you see from Czech Bank perspective the digital transformation? What do you do? How do you embrace it? And equally alike, what I think is interesting is how do you actually balance innovation and digital with tradition? What are the elements that you still need to keep from the traditional way of doing things?
Well, I think that what we need to keep from the, let's say, the so-called traditional way of doing banking is the trust. And I saw in previous panel with very technical guys that were also telling this. So also the technology needs to reinvent in order to cope with this human interaction need that we see. And I will give you, let's say, an example from our life. Somewhere around end of 2021, we have launched the online lending journey. We have, I don't know, like 6 or 7 months when we have launched all the consumer loans. And afterwards, going on the steps of our omni-channel strategy, we started to prepare the deployment of a digital-enabled lending flow for our 1,000 branches, out of which almost 50% are in the rural area. It was a complicated process just to set up the logistic and the infrastructure, but I can tell you that we started, let's say, fully fledged, equipped all across the network in January with a single-digit penetration. The percentage of fully digitally processed transaction in the branches, and by November we have 43%. What is even more interesting is that the highest penetration, we don't have it in the main branches, in the biggest branches, we have it in the smaller branches, in the small towns or even in the rural area, because once we have passed the trust test, first internally with our people, as you said, then we could bring this trust toward the customer. And in small community, trust, we were talking earlier with Nick, is maybe the most important things. That is, it's keeping the community together. So the fact that you can tell a client that you can serve it on spot and not in several days. So we have decreased the process in the branch from an average of 2 or 3 days for, let's say, a so-called traditional flow to 30, 40 minutes, including account opening, mobile banking, activation, initiation of card issuing. So I think that the trust, it's as a platform to build everything. And I'm a business guy. I have to confess that digital transformation, I don't think it's the holy grail of organization. It's a critical enabler. It's functioning like a, let's say, like a critical function of an organism, but still it's an enabler for reaching whatever business strategies that you have. Yeah.
So it's what I took, the key word I took from what you said is trust.
Yes. And
but also you mentioned, higher speed, rapidity, good service. So this means innovating products, services, that you traditionally offer, so doing them better. And now I'm going to Eleni. Eleni, what do you think, how is ING using technology and digital transformation and analytics and data to bring new innovations in terms of products, in terms of services? And very interestingly, if you see customer needs being different between different types of customers, especially different generations.
The second, yes, we see different, but there were different needs in different generations. But to start with the innovation part, ING has, we have employed for years a way of developing products which we call PACE, and is based on 3 components. 1, design thinking, which means co-creation with the customer at the center. The other one is lean startup methodology and agile way of working. So different multidisciplinary teams working together, iterating with small increments together with the client, who is giving the green light or the thumbs down for creating the experience around the new product, value, feature, proposition that you are creating. This is the way we do it, and I have caught myself even at home trying to work like this with my family. The client being my son, who decides for everything. Saying about my son, who is generation, he's not alpha, he's the end of Z. He's 12, he was born in 2011. And I think Generation Alpha starts from end of 12, beginning of 13. But indeed, I'm reminded every day how the different generations require different things. Now, Florian, all of us that we did business schools, we learn about strategy and what the customer declares he wants, if it is really what he wants. You remember, many of you, maybe you can recall the car, and what if you had asked the client 100 years ago about mobility, would have said, we need faster horses. Yes, and then the car was invented. So here we try to strike the right balance in trying to go beyond even what the customer says. You cannot every day invent cars. Unfortunately, we are not, every day having the enlightenment, the divine enlightenment. But what we try to do in ING, and I'm sure in other, colleagues, organizations, we try to see what we learn from the customer's behaviors every day in our portfolio, what the customer says of behaving X or Y, and try to go beyond that and say, can I foresee something new in the way I service my customers, I am caring for them. For example, and you said about different generation needs. We launched a few months ago ING Young, which is home bank for kids. How we ended up there? Because we realized, you will tell me now, is this a huge realization? In the context of banking, for us, yes, it was, that kids want autonomy, want independence, want to do whatever they want. My son says, you are not my boss, and he's a very good boy. I don't know what's going to happen when he's 15, but now 12 and a half, you are not my boss. I beg to differ, but still, I need to control what he's doing. We don't use the word control, but launching home bank for kids, ING Young, and then Bete launched also you a very nice solution, and Bete Kids, Bete Kiddo. It was, I think, the same concept, yes, supervised autonomy. Yes, so yes, different needs, millennials, or unfortunately, I am a generation X, I think. No. Am I X? I'm not a boomer for sure, but we have kids that are us and millennials have kids that expiring. Yes, exactly. To Y, exactly. Latex beginning Y, but we are the parents, us and the millennials Y. Or why? The parents of Generation Z and Alpha that is coming, and we definitely need have different needs, different languages, and that is why, again, because you asked if we do different ways, apart from the research and the solution, in our case, we had even the same campaign, ING Young, Home Bank for Kids, different campaign addressing the parents for exactly the same value proposition, and different campaign and media mix addressing the kids. And yeah, it cannot be different.
Nico, I think I'd like to ask the same question. How do you use digital technology to create these kind of innovations, to improve customer experience, to create new products and services?
In the first place, I want to congratulate everybody for the resilience that's in the last panel, and you are still here. Thank you very much. It's very awkward to speak to the empty room. In the second place, it's very nice to see friends here. And business, it's all about that. Digitalization, it's about that. Because even if we speak about innovation, digitalization, now it's not a wow thing in the banking anymore. If you were speaking 10 years ago, this would have been really innovating. Now all the banks have digital solutions, and it's nothing new. And in terms of how do you do it right now, you start from your own people. Like our colleague was saying earlier, it's very important for the colleagues in the branches to promote the digitalization and digitalization, because that is the first step in educating customers to further on to make the step and go on. And I can give you an example. In our network, 50% of the loan applications are done with electronic signature, even if applications are done face-to-face. Why? Because this is the first step actually to bring them there in that environment, in that world. We all speak here, we are a bit educated, I can say, and we know the environment, but out there for the customers, it's another world. It's all black. Many of them don't know about this, and they don't trust this to take this step. But we start from there, I was saying, and actually the role of the branches will change, in the sense that when I was hired in the banking system, and Mara knows very well, it was all about selling, go out for customers, things like this. Somehow we still do that, but it will be more a consulting model. We will go to assist the customers for the journey in online. And then we will expect for customers to go there. And I'm not speaking from traditional side banking. I was there. Now I'm more like a challenger bank representing here. We started from scratch. We didn't have a lot of portfolios, and from the beginning we were forced to go for digitalization because we have a very nice infrastructure of partners that we developed, and we are embedded in the journey of shopping and the checkout solution to take your goods and products if you don't have the necessary money. And on that flow, the retailer doesn't wait for you because we are working in a very regulatory industry to take like 2 days to offer the product. So we are very fast there. We implemented many things. We were the first ones in this shopping process that we had fully online loan application. And we invested a lot, not only in what you see outside, in all these flows. We took surveys. We were seeing where we are heading many cancellation in each flow. We were changing it. We are customizing it not to lose it. But we changed as well inside. I mean, these RPAs are doing a hell of a job. I mean, it's a bit threatening for the colleagues in the organization, but not necessarily that are doing a better quality job, but they are doing it much faster. And like Juana was saying, by putting these RPAs, you are decreasing many of your steps in small seconds in the interaction with customer, and this is as well digitalization, not only application, and you are putting more meaningful work for the guys that are remaining. Because everybody is saying, what? It's a fear. Everybody will be afraid to embrace it. It's not like this, because we are facing huge problems in recruiting people on junior level positions. So all this digitalization, it's solving this issue, and the ones that are remaining, they can do a much better job. This is the idea. If you think that, I don't know, in the last 10 years, branches will disappear, I don't believe that. Because people still need to interact. What I really believe is that the percentage of interactions will change for the digital side. And all of us there, we need to invest a lot and to learn more in order to make it simple. And digitalization is in machine learning as well. I mean, banks are very well known for the risk models, that we are very conservative in compliance as well, and we have all these rules from the regulatory. But what I'm saying is that everything can be done with these aspects as well, because the investment that we are doing for the needs of customers. And if we educate them, gradually they will pass in the digital world, let's say.
Right, like you mentioned, the concept of machine learning. So technology.
The concept, I lost my idea, sorry, is because you utilized all my muscles to see your presentation, and that's right. But the machine learning is helping us right now to do much better profiling. And for example, the same demographics for a customer, you can see that, for example, if you use LinkedIn, he performs better. You have machine learning or engagement. Like Eleni was saying, you have the same product with different features to re-engage different age of customers. So all these things are already in the banks. I mean, to digitalize more, it's only to switch the preferences of customers from offline to online. This is my opinion.
You need more and more technology, more advanced technology.
Of course.
And then if we go into this, Alex, from the point of view of Libra Bank, tell us, what innovative technologies do you use, do you plan to use? And we can use all the fancy terms, machine learning, AI, generative AI, you pick. Technology and partnerships, I think, as Juana mentioned, partnerships, and you, Nico, mentioned, are also very important.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, we do have a lot of partnerships. Many of our partners were present today and yesterday as well. I would emphasize a bit something, because I heard many times in this panel the idea of digital transformation. And mostly what digital transformation means is to take an existing process and replicate it on digital channels. I'm not saying that this is easy, and to give you an example, in December 2014, Libra Bank, Libra Internet Bank launched a fully online onboarding flow, account opening flow for private individuals without ever having to come to the bank and without ever having to sign any piece of paper. And this was happening back then. It's been a while already. Next year, we did the same for SMEs. In 2016, we launched full online loans. So we digitized some existing process, and it was hard. Now, when it comes to technology, the idea is that you can apply technology in order to digitalize existing processes, but you can also envision new models. And I also heard innovation. Compared to the digital transformation, innovation is harder. And I know this firsthand, being involved in this, because it means to do something new, which is different from what you already have. And innovation is risky. You don't know how it will play out, if it is going to be rewarding or not, if it's going to bring, I don't know, profits and so forth. But it's an endeavor that you can take, and harnessing technology, you can envision new models in order to strike new partnerships. And this is what we did at Libra. I recall that in December 2016, at our annual shareholder meeting, we had a presentation about the API economy, the API economy. And it was, it had two parts. How APIs could improve our existing services, that was on one hand, and also, on the other hand, how APIs could be used in order to do something completely new. This is how our API banking offering, for example, appeared, and we managed to have these ongoing partnerships with several neobanks. I don't call them Fintechs, because to me Fintechs represent something else, but I call them neobanks like TransferWise, Revolut, Monies, Paysera, Raiffeisen Digital Bank, they were present already also here. And others, many others. So all these companies, they work with us and we work with them. And we find these partnerships to be obviously something new for a bank. We do it quite successfully within the Romanian banking market. But it's been a process. So we started the internal discussion, as I said, in 2016. And the first partnership that we signed was with Moniz in 2020. So it took a while. And the last thing I would like to emphasize here, because I heard and I hear a lot technology, which is fine, but something needs to be emphasized. It's about the people. For example, innovation doesn't come from a single person. No way. It doesn't come from a team. No way. Innovation comes from the entire organization. So it's a cultural thing. Because as I said, innovation is risky, and mentally you have to be prepared for this, I don't know, what you are aiming to obtain maybe doesn't play out the way you want it. So I really like to emphasize the idea that people are, and the culture of a company are central to, I don't know, create new business models and harness technology not only to deliver a better user experience, but to deliver the right user experience. And one last thing that I would like to add is the following. There is a tendency for the banks somehow to follow the neo banks in order to have similar apps with similar user experience, which is fine because the user experience from the neo banks is stellar. But what I learned from working with those neobanks, the ones that I mentioned, they do extremely well the analytics behind the scene. So when I said to provide the right user experience, I wasn't referring to nice look and feel of the app, or I don't know, the flows are quite intuitive and so forth. But everything that happens there is data-driven, and this is hard. Thanks.
I will mention again technology. But I like we address technology, I like we address people, data. What I thought, and I had in mind at the beginning, and I mentioned, and we haven't really touched upon, is also the planet, it's also sustainability. And Anna, now back to you. Last but not least, and sorry for that, if you think as an independent advisor, at the intersection of digital technology, but also sustainability and people management, here's the question. How do banks, or how should banks use technology and digital, but also for the planet, also for sustainability, for creating a better world, not just better products and experiences for the customer?
Thank you so much. As bankers, we know that ESG has become a priority, and I think each of us around this table, in this panel, we look at environment, we look at social, we look at governance, which with another perspective right now, primarily because of regulation, so we are forced to do it, but also because some of us here, we understand that there are many opportunities in doing everything better for the organization and for the planet on which we live. And how can digitalization support that? There are many, many ways, and I will mention just a few. First of all, when we look at impact, particularly carbon impact of our organizations, and as banks, we have a very difficult task of scoping our carbon footprint. It's easier for the direct costs, but when it comes to our customers, it's quite difficult. Because in fact, we inherit the carbon footprint of each of our customers who has a lot of other companies in its value chain, and needs actually to baseline and scope each of those suppliers or own customers in order to come to a certain footprint that we will use in our analysis. So how can we do that? How can we use digital? Well, there's a lot of data involved. ESG is not about nice words and nice CSR reports. It's about a lot of data. And getting this data the right way becomes essential, because with CSRD next year, well, it's not that we will not still write our reports, but we will know also that our reports will be checked, and all the information there will be audited, and the risk of greenwashing and presenting incomplete information or not exactly true information becomes much higher for our reputation. And here we discussed, as banks, we sell trust, as my colleague from Czech Bank just mentioned. So big data, getting the data right and having the right infrastructure to gather it. And that leads potentially to ecosystems. For instance, in Greece, we created an ecosystem with an ERP provider, the biggest one. A lot of this data is in ERPs, in accounting of smaller or larger companies. We need to get data. To get that data, and how will we do that? Well, there's open banking. I heard so many use cases today about open banking, and one of them is this one. Getting the right data and making sure we understand our impact and how we can change it. And then how we can change it here, before understanding what it is, it's hard to change, but once we know it, we can work on improving that. And that is also a big task, because we need to look at our customers and we need to give them more advice. Our particularly corporate customers, I will come back to retail as well, they need guidance. Those who are, let's say, not in the exactly green economy, they are somehow polluting. They are still our customers, and we cannot get rid of them overnight. There has to be a transition, and we need to support them as banks. We need to give them advice. And our people, our relationship managers in the banks, they need the tools to do that. And digital comes at help here. And I will go even further, because today I listened a lot about AI and LLM and ChatGPT and so far so on. Extremely nice use cases, and some of them are really relevant because they could support creation of, let's say, a large language model inside our organization, so that our people, do not need to dig for this or that procedure, whether scanned or paper, in order to get an answer. Such a model can simplify their lives, and they can really support their customers better with advice, with more value-adding services. Just a few examples. Thank you.
So I think I'd have another 2 or 3 rounds of questions for everyone. It's early. No, I'm kidding. The time is up, and I think it's actually much better if we have some questions from the audience.
One question from the audience. Yeah, of course.
So, once again, thank you for coming to Sinaia. I'm here with Sergio. I convinced him first to come here with no cash and with Banking 4.0, and we just discussed in between us, it's a secret. I think that you guys, you are the real bankers at the end of the day, and I like very much when you two shake hands and share the experience, and this is pretty rare in the banks. And then I like very much the word trust I heard from Gabi, and then everything about green. Guys, yeah, I mean, and I think it's important. We live here in Sinai in a very green area. We have the largest density of trees in any city, I think, in the world. In my little part across the river, we have bears, more bears than people. And we work together, and we see each other, and we don't bite each other. Now my question is, you always say data, and actually a lot of buzzwords like artificial intelligence, big data, data warehouse. By the way, data warehouse is dead, right? So probably it will be the same with artificial intelligence will become a commodity. How much data we need actually to say we are fully digitized? By the way, I like digitized instead of digitalized. Digitized is for real. This is the real world actually, right? How much do we have enough data? Because there is a concept coming now called small data. Small data is the production of data people make every day. We have a lot of data. As I said in the few minutes ago, 40% of people here, they are watching, typing, and this is a lot of data. Do we have enough data to satisfy our clients today? Do we need more time, or we are already there? So for how long we have to wait? Because we talk about digitalizing, but I think we are already there.
For whom is the question?
For everyone here.
Okay. Oh, can you all briefly give an answer?
It's just, we are there already. Because you are real bankers. I mean, you all of you here, you are in banking for 10, 15, 20 years. Baby boomers.
I can tell you
that. Thank you.
We don't have enough data yet. Imagine, I don't know, in the county that not everybody is sharing a lot of information. So we don't have enough of data for all our customers. And it's not yet this culture of sharing everything. We are a very conservative nation, and this is one of the things that we need to deal with.
Nico, you're disappointed because I just see the ladies here shaking hands. So you can share also data, not just hands. So I think that's kind of...
We will, but we are not allowed. So it depends.
Actually, you are allowed, and I tell you why you are allowed, because we have GDPR, and the data is not yours, it's your client's data, and they have access to it, and they can share it with whoever they want.
It's
But you should help. You
It's
should
a
help.
process.
Yeah.
We started sharing things. Imagine that credit bureau appeared. So we are sharing things, but it's like a relationship. It takes time to
It
share
takes
more.
time. Okay, so you still need time and more data, right? One.
I have another perspective out of this, to top up on this. I think we do have a lot of data, and fortunately, and we are not using it at its highest potential. Just speaking for ourselves, for BT, having 6 million cars, having 3.7 million active retail customers, there are tons of data. There are so much information about what the people are doing, where they are spending their time, their money. And I think, to answer your question, that things have been done and things are to be done for sure. And I think this will be a continuous process, and we will evolve every single month, every single year. But I think, from my perspective, that we do have enough data to get better experience, to provide better experience for our customers, and to improve the use cases that we are putting at their in the apps that they are using, in the experience that they are having with the bank.
Thank you.
I like the question. I have the same angle. Data is plentiful. We don't have to ask our customers for additional data. When I mentioned earlier analytics, I was thinking exactly to this. We already have a lot of data. Maybe we have a different challenge because the data is scattered, but that's another story. But we already have the data. We need to extract from it, let's say, insights that are efficient, that actually bring value to your customer in order to provide that better experience. And I'm re-emphasizing the idea that when I'm saying about experience, I'm not referring to the screens, but I'm referring to the right message at the right moment to the right person. In order to do this, you need to harness your data. So when you asked the question, I was thinking, okay, that's a good question. Would we need more data, or is just enough? But it makes you think, because if you think this way, you can wonder, what have we done so far? And if you look back, you can do more.
You still can do more, okay.
Yeah.
But you know, guys, storing data, computing data, it's a lot of energy at the end of the day. That's why Bitcoin is dying sometime. No crypto guys here. Because, and Anna, she's right. I mean, okay, we have computing power, we can do a lot of stuff, but still, crunching data, I'm a database guy for 30 years. I still write SQL queries, and I interrogate credit bureau and ANAF and OpenBank. I like it, but still people are people, and they go to the branch, right?
Yeah, I think
you already have the data, but they want to go to the branch.
Sufficient data, sufficient is by itself a relative perspective, yeah? So I think that it's not the case that we should stop at any time that we think that we have sufficient data. I would rather see it like making the most of what we currently have, yeah? Getting more proficient, and put it in perspective of the fact that having more data, understanding better the data, is providing better solution for the customer. So this is, at the end of the day, the scope. So if we are doing the most of what we have, and we are continuing on this, I think it could be enough to answer back with the same word.
Anna, what do you think? We save the planet, but as a banker?
Data, you can hear me, right? Data, we have to understand for what we need the data. I think that with so many customers using digital channels, data is getting enriched every minute, every second, and we can devise an even better user experience if we get the analytics right. I mean, data has to convert to MIS and to analytics, but it depends for what we use the data. For instance, I will give you another example because challenges keep coming and coming on data. Soon there will be an important KPI that we will need to report, at least the large banks, systemic banks, on how we affect the biodiversity. Me as bank, what is my impact on your bears in Sinaia?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a challenge. You will have to get data, not just impressions or perceptions. So the data need is going to grow and grow, and so the data crunching need, and so the energy consumption related to that. And here there will be another question, because AI is very nice and it helps us with a lot of things, but like you said, it consumes. So we have to look how we power our machines to crunch all the data, and we have to think along these lines. Can I have a partnership, I don't know, with a solar panel power plant, so that I'm getting green energy for my machines? How can I assess my footprint on biodiversity, because biodiversity is what is going to save us from the carbon nightmare. And since reducing emissions is something that is very hard, as we can see, because it would entail us changing our habits. And we are not so happy. We like talking about green and about reducing our carbon footprint, but few of us will leave our cars home daily, And
take the train.
And assessing our impact on biodiversity, on our world around, we'll need more data, and we will have to source it in a green way. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
So, Eleni, you talk about your kid, your boy, and
you know there is a cocktail afterwards. Nick.
Just a second, because you talk about your boy, is he aware of the green stuff of protecting environment? Do you talk to him when he spends his money on different things?
My son.
Yeah.
Yes.
My son, and I'm not joking now, calls himself Dr. Fakenboro from Attenborough. I'm not joking, I didn't know the question.
Cool.
He's a passionate naturalist. He wants to be this is what he says today, he's 12 and a half, I don't know how it's going to evolve, marine biologist. Wow. And because exactly we design thinking in my family happens based on the opinion of the most important person, the most important client, who is our boy, and our animals. We end up having all our holidays around, going to see the whales, watching the birds. I was a smoker until a few years ago. You can imagine now how I suffer. But it was this person, cement, give me cafeteria and cigarettes. And now I have become this person that, I'm thinking who we should help. The eagles of Romania to reintroduce the Romanian eagle, or we should do more for the wolves. So yes, and this is not us, our influence to our kid, is my kid, our kids' influence to us.
And you have to bring your boy next year on stage.
Thank you, guys.
If you want to.
Definitely. No, it would be great.
He's a paun. He will come.
It would be great to hear the new generation, what they have to say.
All our kids. Yeah.
Anything wants to add one last word, maybe?
Yeah, so going back to the question, because I really like to be pragmatical. I'm known for my pragmatism. I really think that we have this tons of data, and actually data is gathering right now in our laboratories, new data as we speak. And I think that it has been a lot of evolution in using propensity models, in using a lot of data to offer the best product, the best offer, and there is tremendous room for improvement to extract these insights and to make the data more actionable. Because everybody is talking about the data, but actually the actionability of the data is the most important from my perspective.
That's exactly what Anna said. Yes.
I want to add something. it is, I think, it's helping us because in the previous decade, the focus was collect. And we were collecting not in the sense of a big framework like Anna mentioned earlier that we will need to prove that we did something for introducing the eagle and then how this is going to happen is different. We were going to the customer data trying to understand. Now we reach the phase that we have to delete the data. So I really believe archive, delete it, retain it for it, and then delete it. And I really believe this is a good thing because whether we want or not, it's going to make us focus a little bit because we lost ourselves a little bit to the.
So we need a reset from time to time to stay green, right? We need to reset ourselves, reset data, reset our customers.
Thank you so much for the very brief question, Nick. It was amazing as always. Guys, thank you. Amazing panel. Florian, well done. Great job. Thank you. Stay 5 minutes more in the room, but you can leave the stage. Thank you, guys. Applause.